Hi there, welcome to LSAT Demon Daily. I'm Josh Mansfield. I'm the producer of the podcast here at the LSAT Demon and a teacher here at the Demon. Joining me today is Matt, a Demon student who crushed the LSAT. Crushed the June LSAT, right, Matt?
Yeah, June LSAT. Yep.
Congratulations. Well, welcome to the
Thank you.
show. Super excited to be talking to you. First and foremost, how did June LSAT go? What did you score?
So I scored 177 in June, and I'm hanging it up after that. I'm all done. So really excited about that. Yeah.
That's fair. I get it. So I want to come back to that, but I want to start at the beginning. I want to
Mhm.
know what inspired you. When did you start studying for the LSAT? What made you decide, yep, this is law school's for me?
Right. So I started studying for the LSAT back in, I believe it was January of 2024, maybe very
Okay.
end of 2023, December.
Okay.
But for sure, I started really getting into it in the beginning of 2024. Honestly, one of the big drivers for me, I was studying philosophy at the time, and I was really interested in ethics specifically. And I just started listening to the podcast actually, just like looking at what I might want to do after I leave college, just to like get a kind of better idea of like law school and like what it's all about. And there were a couple different podcasts I listened to, but I was like, you know what, that seems like something I might be able to do well. So I took a diagnostic and I ended up getting a 161 on the diagnostic, which I heard was like decent, like pretty good. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna like give
It's a
it a
great score.
try. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna give it a try. So I started studying. I feel like I mean, this is kind of like against what the demon says, but I wasn't really listening at the time. But I,
Sure.
was still working on my GPA and stuff and studying at the same time, which, was okay, but I don't think I studied as consistently as I could have. Um, but yeah, I probably studied until the end of the school year, so maybe like 3 or 4 months, like on and off, trying to do maybe like 4 hours a week or something like that. But I wasn't really like making too much progress. I was probably still in the like 160s, mid 160s around there. Um, but yeah, after that, I kind of like buckled down a little more and started studying more intensely, starting to go
Okay.
into the summer and stuff.
What did that intense study look like to you?
So I kind of look back and think like I was being a little bit insane, but it was to the point where I would have a specific goal for every single day. I would like keep a spreadsheet of what questions I was doing, what I was getting wrong, what I was getting correct, what I need to
Okay.
work on, and I was like committing an hour and a half every day. I would just go to the library and sit there and study every single day. So it's pretty intense. I mean, I think I started to definitely see more progress, more so when I started to be a little more consistent with my study, and do a little bit every single day. Drill when I have a free second, was really helpful. And yeah, just continuing to listen to the podcast was also very motivating, and join the Discord also. Yeah.
So you said very intense, but that intensity was in hour and a half, 2 hours a day. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, yeah. I tried. I mean, my attention span is not huge, so any more than that, I could just
Sure.
feel myself not really doing anything. Like I'm just kind of
Mhm.
going through the motions. I'm zoning out. So I feel like that usually hour to an hour and a half a day was like the sweet spot for me, and gave me enough time to. I was trying to do like one section every single day and thoroughly review that as deeply as I could. And then if I had more time, which I usually did, I would do like maybe a few drills and review those. But I think in the very beginning, I was like online all the time looking like, oh, how can I increase my score? What do I have to do? But like genuinely, the only thing you can do is just put in the reps and the time. Like there's really no secret sauce. It's like I like to think about it like working out, like there's
Mhm.
nothing you can do to get your like dream body in 1 month, like it's going to be incremental change over time, and then you just have to stay consistent with it and kind of trust the process. So that's what I tried to do.
Yeah. Well, I asked that question and it sounds a little bit leading. It's not because I think you're doing anything wrong. In fact, I think that you are a great exemplifier of the fact that quality matters way more than quantity. And
Right.
we have students sometimes who will say, oh, my idea of intensity needs to be 4 or 5, 6 hours a day.
Right.
And here you are saying, no, my intensity was I was locked in doing reps, focused on learning from my mistakes for an hour to an hour and a half and
Yeah.
score a 177 as a result. So
Yeah.
this is what you're doing the summer. Is this the summer after you graduate? Summer before senior year?
Yeah, no, that's summer after I graduated.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was, I mean, it was nice because I was back home, so I had a lot more time to study. I was starting to work at the end of the summer around. So became a little bit more difficult when I started to work because I'm working still like full time. So I only had like a couple of hours, which is also good at the same time though, because it only allows you to study for a couple hours. So you can't do that whole like
Hmm.
8 hour studying straight thing. Another thing I started doing during the summer and kind of later in the year was studying with groups, which I thought was really helpful. Like
Okay.
getting a study group together or a study partner. That is, I would say, a really big thing that helped. Honestly, was having someone to bounce ideas off of maybe once or twice a week.
And where did you get that study group?
So I found all my partners through the Discord, the LSAT Demon Discord server. Just went to the Study Buddy Finder channel, would post my stats, what I was looking
Yep.
for, and that was honestly so helpful. I mean, everyone in there is just so supportive and just willing to help each other, so it was really helpful.
Perfect. Thanks for the plug. I
Yeah.
will be linking the invite in the show notes. If you are, all you need is a demon free account, so you can come and join the Discord, talk with people, and can find a study group, kind of like Matt did here. I hear lots of people who talk about the importance that, and it's not that it's not about studying. And you mentioned this. It's not about studying 100% of the time with people. It's about once a week getting some outside fresh perspective to what you're doing, in addition to your reps. Was June your first time you took the test?
No, it was not. So
Okay.
my first time taking the test was February. I took February 1st, then I took
Okay.
April, and then June was my last one. But I one piece of advice I really did try to internalize was to not take the exam till I was ready.
Hmm.
So I mean, I was studying for about 11 months before I took it for the first time. So
Yeah. And at that point, were your scores reflective of something that you would have been happy with?
oh yeah, definitely. I didn't even sign up until I was like I had 5 scores in a row that were in my range that I would be okay hitting.
Nice. Okay. So you take February.
Hmm.
What was your score in February?
So February I scored 171.
171. Okay. And from the sounds of it, if you're scoring a 177 in June, that range, are you thinking like 175 plus? Is that what you were really looking
Yeah,
for? Or what was
that's
the
what I
goal
was.
when you're going into that?
Yeah, so I was aiming for a 175 plus.
Okay.
And I didn't, like I said, I didn't want to sign up until I had 5 scores that were like above. I was kind of going from like 173 plus just to as long as I
Okay.
think I had a was in striking distance, I was like I'm gonna sign up.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Okay. Okay. So score 171 in February.
Hmm.
Go take it in April. What'd you get in April?
So April I got 174, so increased a few points. Yeah.
Okay. So you score a 174. At this point, I'm wondering, do you have anybody in your life who's telling you, why are you retaking?
I mean, yeah, I'll say honestly, not as much as I hear some like from other people that like once they
Okay.
hit that,
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like at least with my parents and stuff, they thought it was a good score, but I think they knew how hard I had been studying for it, so they understood that I wanted to take it again. Like they weren't like that
Sure.
doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Um, and also like I said, like just having study partners that also like understand what's going on and are just as like crazy as I am when it comes to this. Like they're like, yeah, like do it again. I only taken 2 tries, so I had 3 more left in the bank. It's like, why would you not try again? Especially when you have practice tests that reflect that you can do better. So
Yeah.
I was like,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And I think this is such a great point here, Matt. Is like, you it would be so easy, and there are so many places that are going to try and give you the advice to just take the 174 and be happy, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like that limits you, or even the 171, right? Like
Right.
I've seen advice online where people say don't retake anything above a 170, and it's like you
Yeah.
got 6 points and a big
Mm-hmm.
difference in terms of some of these top schools because you
Right.
continued to take again after you were ready.
Right. And I mean, it's a difference. I mean, I don't really have anyone like in my background or my life that's like gone through the law school admissions process or anything like that. So yeah, in the beginning it's
Mhm.
like I always wanted the 175, but once you see like the 17 something, you're like, maybe that's good enough. But it is the difference between being below median at like a lot of top schools to being like above them at all of them. So I'm
Uh,
really glad that
yeah.
I had people encourage me to do it again and to not, leave points on the table.
Good, good. Where are you hoping to go to school? Obviously, you're going to apply broadly, but as
Yeah.
well, I guess the question is like, what's your goal in terms of what you want to do through this application process?
So, I mean, I'll say through the application process, I'm just trying to be really like deliberate in terms of what I decide to put into my application packets for each school. Like, research as much as I can, just take the demon's advice of, applying as broadly as possible, not, putting all your eggs in one basket. Applying
Mm-hmm.
early, I think, is also like a really big deal for me. So I've been chugging away at my optional essays to be able to apply like very soon. Like, not, I want to apply by November at the very latest. So
Yeah.
I'm really just trying to make sure I have everything set to go and making sure I do everything well. Yeah.
So you took a year off. Obviously, if you
Hmm.
could have studied over the summer, taken it in August, maybe you got an okay score, good score even,
Yeah.
or maybe you take it in February. But again, you're at the tail end of that cycle. So
Right.
when you were studying over the summer, had you committed to taking a gap year at that point?
Oh, I had committed to taking a gap year by the time I graduated because I was already starting a job that was going
Okay.
to be 2 years. Um, so I could have some time, to decide what I really wanted to do. But in that time period, especially like working the job that I do, it's in like the legal field. Like it's really solidified my decision to go to law school. But yeah, I think that was good for me to take those 2 years and have something set to do for those 2 years because I feel like if I didn't, I would have been rushing to try to like apply last year. And I'm just like so glad I did not do that. Yeah.
Sure.
So glad.
I have never heard somebody regret a gap year, and so I
Yeah.
try and bring that out of people who take any sort of
Hmm.
gap. Because I'm with you. Like my gap time was so important for me in
Right.
making my decisions around law school, and so I'm definitely with you there. I want to dive in
Yeah.
a little bit more to the specifics on like LSAT
Hmm.
prep. What do you
Okay.
feel like if you could think of advice
Hmm.
that was the most instrumental to you in terms of
Right.
succeeding at this test? What are some things that come to mind?
I think one thing that because I was stuck, I would say in like the 160s plateau or like mid to high 160s for a very, very, very long time. Like probably more than 6 months. I didn't like consistently see like three scores in a row that were above like 170. So I was just kind of wondering like, oh my god, like what am I doing? Because it did get to the point where I was like, I don't know if I can like do any better than this.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't remember which episode of the podcast I was listening to. There's probably many where they say this, but for one, it really clicked for me. Ben or Nathan said like you just have to refuse to pick a wrong answer like all the time. Like if you see an answer and like that can't be correct, you cannot pick it. And I think that helped me a lot because not only would I do better with picking correct answers that I knew were correct, it helped with process of elimination to the point where I knew four answers were right. So even if I couldn't necessarily say why an answer was correct, I could still get the right answer because I knew four were definitely wrong. And then I can come back after and do review and be like, okay, I knew these four were wrong, but now I'm going to figure out why this one was correct. I think that was really,
Yeah.
really helpful. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a great point because we always talk about making a mistake, missing a question. It requires
Hmm.
two mistakes. It requires
Yeah.
not being able to identify the correct answer, and it requires being complacent with a wrong answer.
Yeah.
And so, if you can do the work to eliminate one of those two factors,
Hmm.
right? Just eliminating, if you refuse to pick a wrong answer, then that can get you to your correct score.
Yeah.
Um, LR versus reading comprehension. Did you feel the same with them? You laugh, so I'm
Yeah.
hearing
No.
no, 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 no. Okay, tell
No,
me
not at all.
how did you
I
feel about
mean,
which section was it that was your difficult one?
I could do LR all day long. Like I found that so fun. I really enjoyed LR questions. Like there were times I'm not proud to admit this, where I would be at a bar and if I got bored, I would start doing like LR on my phone. It's embarrassing, but yeah, I really enjoyed LR. RC, I really had to get to the point where I was like, okay, I can't score what I want to score if I don't start prioritizing RC. Like my LR score is probably down to like -0 to -2 on like a bad day, whereas like my RC was like regularly like -2 to -4. And I was like, okay, I really have to like buckle down and start enjoying what I'm reading. And I think that was really helpful is like every time there's an RC passage that, most of them I've never heard about the topics, or at least like the details that they're talking about. So just using it as like I'm reading a new book, and trying to learn something new about a topic I've never heard about, and be interested in what I'm reading about, was really helpful with like motivating me to try to do that more. Also, I would say, you know, stopping the highlighting, because when I first started studying, I would highlight like so much to the point where like the whole page was yellow, and it just wasn't really helping me. So I was like, okay. And this was another thing that Ben and Nathan had talked about. The highlighting is like oftentimes, not for everyone, but it can oftentimes be a crutch for actually really internalizing what you're reading. And when I stopped doing it, I mean, I would still highlight certain things that I thought were really important just to be able to find them quickly back in the passage. But like, just being able to understand the passage, you do not need to highlight. You just need to really be like, okay, what does this mean? How does this connect to something earlier in the passage? Like thinking about the passage is almost like a network, and like each part is connecting to something else, and how they connect, different arguments, how those arguments interact with each other. Like that's what's really important.
So you have this moment, you say, I need to prioritize RC,
Yeah.
and that's what did that shift look like in the reflection of your study schedule?
I think it looked like less so that I was doing RC more. Maybe that's not the right way to say it, but I was
Okay.
just more intentional, I think, with my RC study, because I would always alternate between an LR section and an RC section basically daily. But I think with my RC sections, I would be kind of lazy with the review sometimes, because it's like RC, like, you feel like, oh, okay, that's where I
Oh,
went wrong.
I misread it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
But I started, one thing I started doing that was helpful was I would watch the videos of somebody going through, like one of the demon tutors or Ben or Nathan, reading through the entire passage, and just seeing like how my understanding linked up with theirs, being like, oh, was that something I missed? I also caught that, was really helpful. And just rereading it myself after that, and going through and being like, okay, why didn't I see that the first time? And I think with RC, it can sometimes feel like you're not making progress because there's not that aha moment a lot of the times, like there is an LR. But like I said, I think just doing it more and more to the point where it's like, yeah, I just do an RC passage every day. It's just something that's normal to me. You start to understand, because all these passages are kind of written in very similar ways, even though the topics are very different. So,
Mm-hmm.
you kind of see how they're structured, what kinds of things they're asking for, how the answers relate to that, and it becomes a lot easier.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, when you talk about doing a lot of time sections, were
Mm-hmm.
you doing a lot of practice tests as well, or was the priority more on sections?
So, and I've told a couple people this, I kind of stopped doing full length practice tests probably about 4 or 5 months into my study. And I
Mm-hmm.
studied for almost a year and a half. So, for the vast majority of my study time, I did not do like any full PTs. I think I might have done one right before like I took the real thing for the first time, just to get reacclimated to the, stamina needed to sit through the whole thing.
Sure.
Um, but yeah, I didn't really see it as very useful. And it's like, I'm not going to be motivated to review an entire PT, nor do I have the time to do that. So yeah, it was really time sections were the bread and butter for me.
Yeah, well, and to that point, Matt, I completely agree with you. I was in the same boat. But
Hmm.
you were missing what? 4 to 6 questions on a practice test if you were taking them, and you were not motivated to review 6 questions. Like
No.
that should I hope that tells everybody the level of detail that should be going into your review.
Yeah.
Because if you're missing 12 or 15 questions on on a full length
Oh
practice
yeah.
test, that like it should take you as long to review those as it did to do the entire practice test. And
Yeah.
so I'm totally with you on this.
Hmm.
When you described that practice test before your official test, did
Hmm.
you said that you felt like, you wanted to just kind of make sure you had the stamina. Was that something that you felt like was an issue when you took that practice test? Were you like, "Oh, I haven't been doing these. I'm now, I'm
Not at
tired by the
all.
end."
No, not at all. I mean, it was really just kind of like a security for me, because I'm like, okay, I don't want to hop back into doing, a almost 3 hour exam after not doing one for like months on end. So I was like, I'm just gonna do
Mm-hmm.
one. But yeah, I would say that you really build that stamina just like taking the time to study. You know what I mean? Like even if you're not doing questions for the whole time, like that stamina is also built during your review. And
Mm-hmm.
taking the time to do thorough review helps with building stamina for the real thing. And just to like give you an idea of how much like I was really only doing it for that reason. I didn't even score that test. Like, I just did all the questions and I did not score anything. Just so I was like, okay, I can sit here and do it for the full time. Yeah.
The discipline that it would take to not get a score back after doing a practice test, I like it makes sense. It makes total sense
Mhm.
because it's not about doing it for the score, right? If you're
Yeah.
doing it for the score at the end, then you're not focusing on the right thing. But
Right.
I think that would probably send some of our students into a
Yeah.
spiral if to consider doing it that way.
Yeah. But I mean, it's all about like, at that point, I knew like when I signed up for the first test and I was like doing this PT, I was like, I already know I have the ability to like score where I want to score. So it's like I'm
Yeah,
not even going to score this because it's not even a factor really.
that's not why you're doing it. That's
Yeah.
that practice test score doesn't determine anything for you. I love that. I love it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Test day, do it in person or did
Hmm.
you do it? Okay, did you do it in the testing center or did you do it remote?
So I did it remote the first two times. So yeah, my first time was remote. And it was fine. I
Okay.
mean, it was a little bit stressful because I did have to like log out and log back in like twice, which was so frustrating. But
Okay.
it went all I've heard some really bad horror stories. So all things considered, I think it went all right.
Went all right. And but then so your last one you switched to the testing center?
Yeah.
What inspired the switch?
I honestly don't really know. I think I was just like at that point I was like, okay, I have a 174. I wanted a 175. And I just kind of wanted to experience the testing center. I'm not even gonna lie. And some people had made me worried that my Wi-Fi would drop out, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to the testing center, and I actually liked it more, to
Okay.
be honest.
Okay, you like that that was going to be my next question. I like
Yeah.
not a lot of our students do one or the other. And you
Hmm.
know have their reasons why they liked it, but you obviously experienced both. So you
Yeah.
say you prefer the testing center. Why did you prefer the testing center?
I think it was just like the fact that I was in an environment that was made for testing. Like it was something about just being in like a testing center rather than like in my basement at my house that like I don't know got me more motivated. I think, and also, I think I kind of like got energy from everybody being in there taking the test at one
Hmm.
time. I think it was like made me feel like motivated. I don't know.
Okay. Interesting. Is that do you think that's kind of unique to you or is your general recommendation for people who are on the fence don't go to the testing center?
Hmm. I don't even know if I could say because I've never had a super bad experience at either one, like whether it
Mhm.
was remote or in person. But I think I would say the first time I would say the first time probably to do it remote, just because that's probably how you've been studying. So it's like do it remote because the testing center for a lot of people might be like on the first time might be a little like nerve wracking,
Sure.
especially if you got to drive like really far to get there and stuff like that. Place you never been. It's just more familiar to do it at home. So I'd probably do that first.
Okay. All right. Um if you think back to your LSAT journey,
Hmm.
what do you think was the biggest like regret thing that you wish you had done different? I mean, once you come out with a
Hmm.
177, it's hard to say you did anything wrong, right? But if there's something that you wish you had done differently along the way, what would that be?
Hmm. I would say, for one thing, I'm not going to name names, but the testing like books they can be very helpful, I think, when you're first starting. But using those, and when I say the testing books, I mean like the test prep, like physical textbooks
Hmm.
that are kind of go really deep into like theory about the test and like strategies and stuff. One thing I'll say is that everyone's strategy for the test is going to be different. So trying to kind of make your testing experience the same as what some book specifies it should be, I don't think you have to do that. I think like is the philosophy of the demon, you can just do questions, and you will learn by doing that. So I think I wouldn't have used those for as long as I did because I did use them for a significant period of time. And like I didn't even like get through a quarter of a lot of them, to be quite honest with you. And I think the only other thing I would say is don't fixate so much on like your score, like it's going to take a lot of time, especially if you want to get to a super high score to get there. So fixating on your scores from day to day or week to week is just it's only going to demotivate you, I feel like. So maybe just do time sections, don't do PTs, in my opinion. You just don't need to do them.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you combine your scores from your practice or from your time sections, or not even?
Yeah, I would combine them, but I would just combine, like, I wouldn't intentionally do three in a row and then like combine it.
Okay.
I would kind of just like go back and forth, do different sections that I'd like heard were hard or one that I heard was interesting. And then once I realized I had three that were made up, I would combine them just to like see what my progression was over time. But
Sure.
I try to emphasize that like it's good to just not focus on what your score is going to be that much. To just focus on, did I get this question wrong? Why did I get it wrong? What can I learn from this? Rather than, is my score going up? Is my score going up? Is my score going up? Because that's just like, I had that mindset for a while and it was not helpful.
Yeah, I think it's a great point. Any last advice you have? Things that we didn't touch on that you wish we had?
Um, I think the only thing I can say is just don't give up. And there's like thousands of questions to do. So if you haven't done them all, then you still got work to do, and don't, feel like you're not where you want to be. There's always more to do. So just keep working. You can do it. The LSAT's easy.
The LSAT is easy. That's
Yeah.
what a motto. I completely agree with you. Well, Matt,
Yeah.
thanks so much for coming on, being willing to tell your story. Appreciate it as always, and congratulations on a killer score. So best of
Thanks
luck
so
on your
much.
upcoming admission cycle.
Thank you.
If you'd like to tell your success story, email daily@lsatdemon.com. We'd love to hear from you as well. Otherwise, thanks for listening.